today's topic is going to be about shifting the separation paradigm associated with romance into the union paradigm. I've done a lot of talk about partnership, and especially around what we now define as romantic partnership. And, I know you can listen to all the archives, but this is something new that I'm, just like I said, everything is switching now. So even the things that we've been working on, new insights, new information, new forms are coming to this. So I've done a lot of work in my own personal life and in my teachings with you of really exploring the concept of how our old paradigm of romance at this point, and honestly, except for using the union paradigm, which applies to everybody, not just a romantic type or sexual type relationship, I haven't come up with a specific name for this. And maybe that's because we're not supposed to. That's the whole point of the union paradigm, is that we don't even want to separate it out and say, well, this person is romantic and everybody else fits in this category, because that's part of the separation. So maybe I do have the answer. Maybe the union paradigm is called the union paradigm because it applies to all relationships. But the way in from the path of romantic relationships, as we have defined it, is an essential piece in understanding this that's coming to the surface right now. So I've talked a lot about using or understanding that the old paradigm of romance is actually, well, we have romantic love, in which we want that infatuation, we want that chemistry, the charisma, the soulmate energy, but we've superimposed it onto an old paradigm of actually just the primitive survival instinct. Man needs woman to procreate and to divide tasks and to create shelter. And survival depended on that specific form. And then we took that form and we evolved a little bit into where we had our basic needs met enough that we could add the emotional component. And this is when we started looking at the intimacy and drawing the intimacy of love into. But we didn't actually shift the paradigm at that point. We superimposed it on, and then we wondered why everything went chaotic, why we were not being able to express ourselves, why relationships weren't lasting a whole lifetime, because they were no longer, in the beginning they lasted a whole lifetime because that's what they were about, surviving a lifetime, and lifetimes were short. And then we started to move beyond that. So we started to understand something different, but it's been a very convoluted area until recently. Well, I don't know if it's recently. I'm sure some people are still on the path of understanding him. But what I've noticed in my practice, and I know that my individual work with people, my practice at that level, is always a very good representation of, I would say, the cutting edge of our world, because I know that I draw to me for the individual work, I draw to me people who are right on the edge, the pioneers, the people who are ready for the latest information and to do the work and to pave the way for others behind them. So when I see a pattern forming in that area, I know that it is a pattern that is developing in our world, but it's a pattern, it's the cutting edge of that pattern. And so what I've really noticed over the last couple of weeks, and it does weave in because the shifts of 2012 are hitting their height now, even though the masses will experience it later, the intensity of that energy is already in play, and the people who are vibrationally connected and aware are already beginning to work with them. So what I have seen recently is an influx of people who entered relationships on the old paradigm, such as, dating, marriage, the form that came in, but they had also an intimacy on an emotional level and a soul connection So there was an awareness of this, but there's been this influx of shifting as people have reached a point where they can only go so far on the old paradigm, no matter how deep the soul connection is, because it's focused from that place. So what I'm seeing now is people with beautiful, open, intimate connections that have entered in through this old paradigm of well, I really call it the paradigm of separation, because it's based in the idea that we need each other to fill each other's gaps in order to reach a certain place. Even if we look at it from a more etheric perspective, and look at it from that, even that spiritual perspective of understanding that two souls are coming together to mirror for each other, to heal themselves in that mirror, to heal each other, to remember their wholeness. Even if they're the most evolved, beautiful souls on that journey, healing together and whatever, and creating new form of how that looks. So even souls that maybe didn't subscribe to a very traditional form for it, but open themselves up, it's still in the separation paradigm when it's based on two souls trying to remember their wholeness, trying to remember their oneness. And using each other for those mirrors. So what I'm seeing is souls that are on that journey that have reached a point, grown together to a point where they hit a wall in a sense, because that paradigm of separation only can exist while you believe in separation. When you start to realize the connectedness of spirit, the oneness, the enchanted one, then it has to be readjusted. And so what I'm seeing is beautiful, beautiful people creating in their lives situations, various situations, to turn things upside down. And there's multiple ways how this could happen, but creating something in their life in order to shift them to focus on the spiritual, and then bring that spiritual down now into a form. So not down even, this is the next step. So we've got this paradigm of separation, drawing people together, first just for survival and to meet each other's needs, then moving on to exploration and healing and journeying together towards ascension and oneness. And then we come to ascension, oneness, this union, this realization in the individual souls, maybe both at the same time, maybe at two different times, but this realization in the souls that have partnered together that, wow, I am whole. I don't need someone to fill my needs. I don't need someone to mirror my flaws so I can remember them and become whole again. I don't need anything. I'm one with everyone. I love everyone. I'm an expansion of God on earth, and I'm in bliss just being in this. And so I don't need someone to fill those needs. And then looking and saying, and yet I desire that. Yet, how beautiful to move that next step. So whether they've journeyed together and reached this point, or two souls reach this point individually and then come together, there's this new paradigm of union that is being formed and created. And I've been working with a lot of clients who are seeing it like a tapestry that gets to be painted, or a book that gets to be written, or clay that gets to be molded, because now they've reached this point. It hasn't been written before. It hasn't been created before. We get to do that now. We're at this point in the shift in the universe where we get to choose how we want to do relationship in a whole new way. And in fact, I'm always working not only in the physical world with all of you, but also in my dreams. It's 24/7 what I do. And so last week, in the midst of working with watching all these clients, suddenly, their appointments could have been made months ago, but here they came in and this is where they were with it. People that thought a month ago that they were going to end their relationship, now realizing that they're on the other side, ready to create something new in the paradigm of union. and various aspects of that. So in the midst of that, I'm dreaming, and I've got a group of people around me asking me questions. I must have been teaching in a dream, and they were asking me about the old paradigm of romance and then about the new paradigm. And the one line I woke up remembering is I said to the group, it was a circle of people, and I said, I know what we're leaving. I know the paradigm that we're stepping out of, but I don't know the paradigm that we're stepping into because it hasn't been created yet. And that's what's happening right now. Souls coming together in this intimate union, and it can go into friendships, it can go into anything, but I'm really speaking of what we came out of in that romantic intimacy, and it's not necessarily male female, but maybe alpha and omega within us, that union, the yin and the yang union, the ultimate one that includes sexual intimacy, and bringing that into a new paradigm of union and looking at this and saying, we get to create whatever we want. It doesn't have to look like this. I don't need this person to do this. I don't need this. I don't need that. But what do I want to create? How do I want to take this incredible depth of love that I've found not only in my own connectedness, my own oneness, my own internal reflection of God on earth, but then to look at another reflection of God on earth in its wholeness and say, what do we want to create together? How do we want to express this? How do we want to embrace the touch, the five senses, the life on earth, the service that we can offer? What do we want to do with this, and how do we want to bring this in creation? And there's this excitement that's going on in all of these levels, in the spiritual level, and as I speak to couples in the physical level, or individuals ready to call that in. And so if you are experiencing this shift, if you're looking at any point of the spectrum and saying, oh, this is what's happening, oh, I get it, or oh, I desire that, then you are being supported. Because when I see this come in a wave like this, I tap in and I say, how is this being affected by the universe? And what I'm being shown is that the universe is ready, just like the universe is ready to help us make this shift with 2012. Our part of that, our expansiveness is ready. We are being supported more than ever in partnership in this way. And so all you need to do in order to step on the bandwagon or jump on the wave with your surfboard, whatever it is you want to call it, is to allow yourself to review what I've said, to see where you fit along that spectrum, where your belief systems fall that may limit you. Just examine the thought patterns that you have and where they fall along that spectrum so that you can observe them. There's nothing right or wrong with them, but you can see where along that spectrum you are, not only in your own personal expression of oneness, but how you relate to a partner in that. And once you identify where you are on that spectrum, then you can make a choice where if you want to step further into the next one and to move through it. And if you're, way back and you get this concept, you want to slide up real quick and join the group that are creating right now, you will be supported by the universe. Souls that are ready are finding each other from around the world. I'm watching this occur. Souls that have been together and are ready to make the next step are being pushed into this awareness, and the partners are stepping up together. It's happening from both directions, and it's being supported not only because the universe is supporting it in its energy field right now, but because more and more souls are starting to do that. And whenever one soul puts the consciousness into our universal mind, it amplifies, and we've got multiple people. And if I'm seeing this number and I'm only one light worker in the world with this concept, there's others doing this as well. So the momentum is here to support you. So this is just one more area in which we are seeing this shift occur, and that I think it's a perfect time for you to embrace and to understand and move to the next level, not only for yourself, but for the world, because anything we do to create paradigms of union and co-create on earth in that space of passion and joy actually assist everybody from that space. And look at the generations that are coming up that are already going to be able to embrace this and move into this and imagine what the world is going to look like when people come to each other, even in their most intimate personal relationships, from this paradigm of union. It's going to be an amazing place. So enjoy. And I hope that that adds a little insight. And if there's anything else that I can do to help guide you in that journey, if you're finding it in your personal life in one aspect or another, just reach out to me through my website and send me an email, and we'll see how we can support you.